Wow, this is exciting. All right, so number one, I want to thank all of our gracious hosts, the Princeton class of 1966. You're amazing. The ice cream we had was great, and I heard that was on you, so thank you. So yeah, I never imagined I would be recognized for the work that I do, and it's truly a pleasure to be here today. I would also like to thank my parents who birthed me. I wouldn't be here without them. They're great. Thanks, parents. They've always encouraged me to fight for what I believe in, and I'm so grateful. I'm eternally grateful for that. So I come from actually Berkeley, not San Francisco. I was born in Oakland, and I attend school at Berkeley High. I'm a senior. So although I come from what most consider the most liberal city in the country, as I reflect on the last 4 years as a student at Berkeley High, the racial divide in this country becomes evident. Berkeley is projected as a very progressive place. We take pride in our diversity and inclusiveness. Berkeley High parallels our city's diversity, but unfortunately also its ignorance, especially in regard to the crippling segregation along racial and socioeconomic lines. Non-students of color at Berkeley High are equipped with the white knapsack, which is a metaphor for white privilege. And I can honestly say that McIntosh's white knapsack is full of goodies for white students at Berkeley High. We have over 60% students of color, and yet the teaching faculty is an overwhelming 95% white. Even the best white allies cannot completely understand what it's like to be a person of color in the US. And this has left students feeling silenced and insignificant. White privilege and entitlement are damaging to the inclusive environment we try to create at Berkeley High. Non-white students exist on the periphery of educational opportunities in my high school. It's this that led me to create a documentary titled Race last January. I wanted the student body of over 3,000 to hear how their peers actually felt in our inclusive community. The reality is they just aren't comfortable. The illusion of equity is continually perpetuated in Berkeley. The idea that Berkeley is a bubble of equity, that our environment is unparalleled in the US is very common, and quite frankly, expresses Californians' superiority complex, to be frank. Many believe discrimination is scarce in the Bay Area, and issues of race are the rest of the country's problem. I can assure you this is not the reality. Segregation, microaggressions, and implicit bias are abundant. And so yes, it's true, our racism may not always be explicit, but it's no less insidious. The pain I felt, and that I've witnessed as a result of this oppression, demanded that I organize to reaffirm the value of Black humanity. I have approached this in many ways. The workshops aimed at girls aged 6 to 12, they're called the Because You're Worth It workshops, and they're really important. You can actually read about them in my bio a little bit, but I created these workshops to help empower young women because I remember not feeling empowered as a young Black woman, and in order for me to continue to lead marches, which I'll talk about later, and have meetings with the Attorney General, we need to empower young women to do great things. And so I wouldn't be able to stand here today or receive a prize like this if I didn't have the self-esteem that I have. Whoa, that's a compliment to myself. Oops. Oops. That was accidental. But basically, those workshops, they're probably the most meaningful thing I've ever done, and I've done some cool stuff. But they're super important. Ooh, wow, this is just crazy. That's 2 in a row. So those workshops really changed my life, even though I was helping young women address things like colorism and hair and friendship, bullying through the 6-week workshop series. So I've done those workshops, and I've been on a plethora of panels and meetings with the Department of Justice, but namely through participating in the Black Lives Matter movement, I've aimed to eradicate racism, and that's a really big goal. And so I organized and facilitated a 1,000-person strong walkout and rally, and that also concluded in a die-in. And the purpose of all of my activities is to promote cultural competence. The walkout effectively started the conversation about race. We say that a lot. We start lots of conversations about race. But it also helped students understand the importance of like race relations and how it relates to their life, which I think was super significant because it's important for Berkeley people to remember that we're not exempt from racism just because we're a little bit liberal. So Dr. Beverly Tatum discusses active and passive anti-racism in her book, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? And I have the honor at my school, we have an African American Studies department, and so we did get to study her work for a semester. And Tatum describes it as a moving walkway in an airport. Active racist behavior is equivalent to walking fast on the airport conveyor belt. Passive racist behavior is equivalent to standing still on the walkway. No overt effort is being made, but the conveyor belt moves the bystanders along to the same destination as those who are actively walking towards racism. And so essentially, if you aren't actively turning around and walking the opposite direction from racism, then you're a bystander and you're a passive racist. So regardless of the label, implicit bias, microaggressions, etc., they're all ingredients that make up this poison that we know as racism. So we have to actively walk away from racism. And the aim of my activities and all of the work that I do is to encourage active anti-racism. And that's in an effort to end systematic oppression. So thank you, and I just need to do some thank yous because there's so many people who've made my life possible and my work possible. So first, I'm going to do the white allied teachers who are amazing. Ms. Jimenez, Mr. Clegg, Mr. Meyer, and Ms. Board. You guys are great, and the reason that I'm here is because you helped me get through AP Spanish. I love you. Ms. Mitchell, Ms. Price, Ms. Vecht, Ms. Anderson, and Mr. Miller are the black teachers who have really supported me at my high school when I went against the administration to do things like the walkout and to tell them that the news found on our campus was unacceptable. And that action needed to be taken. They stood by me. And then Miss Joy Allen, I want to thank you for answering all of my emails. I have a lot of questions, and you were there to answer all of them. And then Debbie, for your great vision. You're amazing, and you're just so humble. Like, this woman is amazing. No one knows because she's just like, I'm Debbie. And lastly, for the people who helped me organize things like the walkout and helped me run the Black Student Union and Amnesty International, Finn Collum, Lucy Rosenthal, and Damani McNeil, you guys changed my life, and I'm so happy that I get to work with you to just continue my work. So I just spent a lot of time like talking about me, but I want you guys to remember to read the bios of all these amazing people sitting in front of me because they're excellent. And I've had the pleasure of working with them over the weekend and talking to them, and I feel like I've grown all these dendrites. Like, I've learned so much from just being around them, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here. So thank you.